a thematic message going out depending on the time of year about financial deadlines or things that they need to know about. We want to have at least one touch per month coming out from you to your list, and that list will include your clients, your prospects, your COIs, anyone who's expressed any interest in your business over time is on that list. And I see a question coming in here too. When I say one per month, that's like the bare minimum. So 2 to 4 per week, you can absolutely do that. But we're saying a bare minimum, we want one communication touch going out per month. In our calendar, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, we always recommend more than one communication touch to go out. But again, minimum is one per month. The next area, again, is that event strategy. So here we're talking about those educational events, but also maybe those client appreciation events you might be putting on throughout the year, more of a social event. We, in our calendar, which I'll show here later on, always have at least one educational event that we recommend putting on for the month. Sometimes this is something like our client action webinars, where the presentation will walk your clients through a specific handout that you can send out to them. Things like our key financial data or our financial fitness checklist are examples where you kind of walk them through it and they fill it out while they're there with them. And then we have our larger kind of savvy presentations as well, things like Savvy Social Security, Savvy Long-Term Care, those flagship presentations that you can put on to bring in new prospects to your business and fully market and have an event. These can be webinars or in person. We have advisors who are doing both. But if you're in the practice of the area of growing your business and you want to bring in new clients, putting on educational events is really crucial for your marketing plan this year. And while you don't have to do one every single month, you should sit down while you're creating your plan and think about the events you want to put on, how many it's realistic for you to do, and how you're going to market those and how you're going to even host them. Are they going to be in person? If so, what are your locations? Are they going to be via webinar? Are you going to do a hybrid strategy with both? These are decisions that you'll have to make when you're thinking about your event plan and educational events in particular. With that too, we have client events. So you'll obviously want to think of some of the more fun social events you want to do. Sitting down and doing all this at the beginning of the year is really helpful because you can have everything laid out for you, ready to go. In advisor client, when we talk about Bootcamp, we recommend actually like thinking about when you're going to be taking your vacations too and planning that all out so you don't have conflicts later on. Then the third area we recommend is digital marketing. So sitting down and thinking about what kind of digital marketing things you want to do in the new year. And that doesn't have to be, things like Facebook advertising. Your digital marketing can say, I want to revamp my website this year. There's things that I need to do there. That's digital marketing. Maybe I really want to lean into video this year. I want to start a podcast. These are all areas of digital marketing that you want to think about. Even things like posting on social media organically, that's part of your digital marketing strategy. So sitting down and really thinking about what you want to accomplish on the digital front this year is part of creating that marketing plan. And then we have that relationship marketing, that referral marketing, thinking about how you're going to be asking for referrals this year, what kind of campaigns you want to do around that. If you work with centers of influence, CPAs, attorneys, thinking about how to continue those relationships or build new relationships. Maybe asking your clients or sending out an email to your clients, asking them who their CPA is so you can work with them on tax planning can be a way to kind of build those relationships. So thinking again about what you want to do for relationship building is the last part of your marketing plan. And I bring up these 4 areas because, like I said, we had our advisor client bootcamp start this past week with our orientation session. We're going to be meeting again next week on Tuesday and Thursday, where we'll cover communications and then events. And then the following week, we'll do our relationship marketing. So if you really want to set the time aside to have your marketing plan done in the next few weeks, you can join us next week and kind of get up to speed with communications events, and then we'll jump into relationship planning. Of course, you can do this all on your own too, but throughout the bootcamp sessions, we walk you through examples and give you tools that is helpful when planning this. So that's going on right now. And then we also have our advisor client and our master marketing calendar that has now been updated for 2024. Some of the links are not live yet because certain things we can't update right now. They come later in the year, but I did want to quickly pull up that 2024 plan for you. This is on the master member site. You'll see here, it looks similar to last year. It's always based on a theme. We give you different communication touches over here. So like I said, while we recommend one as the bare minimum, we usually give you at least 3 communication touches to be sending out per week. And of course, you can always add your own in there as well. And then we have our education events over here. We usually offer 2 different options there. Again, you don't have to do everything that's here. You can mix and match, but this is a great starting point. If you don't want to create a full marketing plan from scratch, we have a lot here for you to get started with. So as you see, different themes per month, all of our communication touches relate back to that theme. And our webinars usually relate back to that theme as well. So you can kind of build a full comprehensive marketing strategy per month that makes sense to your clients and prospects who are receiving these things. So I'll scroll through here quickly just to give you an idea of what it looks like. And of course, we'll continue to update this throughout the year. If anything changes, if there's something timely that comes out that we need to refresh, we'll do that and we'll let you know about that too. But it's here and ready to go. So if you want to get started on planning, it's all here, and you can think about what you want to do for next year. So that's for our master members, and advisor client members have a version of this on the advisor client website as well. And I recommend everyone take some time to look at it now and think about planning for next year.
Hey, Devin, I just wanted to respond a little bit more to Matt's conversation where he says we use FMG to send out 2 to 4 per week. Is that too much? And, I think it's a good question. Is it too much? I believe at one point, Debbie Taylor was worried she was sending out too much, and a lot of her clients felt that way. She found out by surveying them. And so the fact that you're asking the question, you're thinking, is that too much? Makes me think it might be. But listen, go ahead and put out a little survey to your clients. And I think what Debbie ended up doing was that people were able to opt out of her more frequent weekly one, but were then getting her monthly email. Plus, they still get other intermittent stuff that she sends out to everybody, no matter what. But, 2 to 4 items per week, is that all just going into the social? Is that just, showing up on people's social feeds? And in that case, they're just scrolling on by. But if it's going directly into their email, well, that's another issue. And then the question more deeply is, what is the value? Matt says, FMG says we have about a 35% open rate, which is way above average. It definitely is true, Matt. That's good. That's good. Problem with open rates, though. There can be a lot of false positives in the open rates. People are looking at, people have their Outlook or other email viewers set up in a certain way. You get kind of false. I would look at the click-throughs, not at the open rates. But bottom line, go back and talk with your clients about it. See, put out a little survey, see what they think. Okay, Devin, back to you.
Okay, so that kind of sums up our marketing plan area. And so in the second part of this, we go into our monthly specific activities you should be doing from a marketing perspective, which ties back to that calendar that I was just showing you. We want to tee up what you should be doing this current month we're in, and then looking forward to the next month as well. So as you saw on that calendar, we always recommend an article reprint to send out along with other client handouts. And those are based around monthly themes. So for December, our theme is long-term care planning, and our reprint for that is how to pay for long-term care, 8 strategies. So I'll just going to quickly pull this up here again so everyone can see it. It's personalized here with my information, but when you logged in, this would be you over here. This is a great article about the different ways to pay for long-term care and different strategies that are out there for your clients to start thinking about, either for themselves or, for their parents or other loved ones. So this is the reprint for the month. It's also available in our web reprint format, meaning HTML. So you can copy and paste it right into your email. Clients or prospects click on a link and it pulls up an HTML page instead of the PDF that you see here. But you can also send out PDFs. You can have these, printed and send them out in the mail as well. But this is the reprint for the month, all about long-term care planning. And we also have a presentation that goes with that, our Savvy Long-Term Care Planning presentation. I do have this up here too, so I'm going to just pull it up really quickly and go through some of the slides here with you, so you're familiar with it.
Yeah, Devin, I just want to jump in and
Yeah.
Please go ahead and
Yeah.
proceed with showing it, and I can give a little commentary.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm starting to hear a lot more about long-term care, and obviously all of us have been in the industry for a long time. It's always been there in the foreground or the background certain times. But I think what we're seeing is, before I was talking about the trailing boomers and the big boom at the end, but we still got all these other boomers in front of us. We got the leading edge boomers, and I just think more and more people are, now being confronted with long-term care challenges within their families, right? And one of the things that the presentation that Devin is showing is that it's not about long-term care insurance. It mentions long-term care insurance as one of 8 ways that you can address long-term care planning. And I think that you're going to find more and more people asking questions about this sort of thing. I think it's a great presentation because it opens people's eyes and it basically says, look, everybody needs to have some sort of plan. It doesn't have to be long-term care insurance, or it can be a small amount of long-term care insurance, maybe the whole thing, whatever the case is. Everybody's situation is different. But the point is that you don't want your family or yourself to be caught totally flat-footed. Like when the time comes and it's like there's some serious issues and there's no plan in place. That is really bad news. And many of us have had family members, and we've gone through that sort of thing before. So as you're looking ahead and thinking about 2024, I'd really encourage you to, to kind of put this in, just even as a client, as a client presentation. It's not necessarily out there. You're not looking for prospects around this topic, but it shows your clients that you're thinking about them, you're thinking about the situation. And because there's been resistance around long-term care planning, partly because of, earlier products that were in the marketplace and they were sold, and then, people's parents bought them, and then there were issues with them later on, whatever. And of course the prices, the industry, in general, putting out prices about how much people will pay for, long-term care related expenses in retirement. And there's like really huge numbers, which are maybe meant to motivate people to act, but I think in fact to have instead, over the decades have tended to depress the market, and where people want to look away. And this presentation is not like that. It's about trying to just get people to say, yeah, look, this is a real thing. And, let's just, have a good conversation with our advisor about, what are going to be our options, when things get dicey, so to speak, what money are we going to tap? Matt has raised his hand, and I think I heard him say that he had put on this presentation. So, Devin, can we bring Matt on?
Yeah, I think he can just unmute himself.
Oh, Matt, go ahead and unmute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys, the reason I was late for the call today, and Sean, as we did not plan this, right? Our largest financial wellness client sent out a mailer or an email invitation to people to attend a long-term care presentation today. Now, that's all they do. They only send an email out. It's got their Zoom information. Given the nature of our relationship with them, we cannot strongly promote who we are, what we do, set an appointment, that kind of thing. They had 285 people register for the webinar. And this was just with sending out hey, this is coming up. They still had 97 people attend.
Mm-hmm. Good.
They did no follow-up, no aggressive, hey, don't forget the webinar, stuff like that. Right. They didn't do any of that.
Right.
And so we got done at 11:07. And at 11:08, I already had somebody reaching out to say, would you be willing to talk with me one-on-one? I'm 58 years old. I'm eligible to retire. I want to get a long-term care plan with either hybrid life insurance or through an annuity. Can you help me with that?
Well,
the other thing I'll say too about it is a few years ago, I went out and got the CLTC credential, which is It's a great credential because it'll give you, it builds on a lot of what's in horse's mouth. It's much more in depth, of course. But what they do at the CLTC, and you can look me up on LinkedIn, I got a boatload of letters behind my name. All those credentials, that is the only one where they actually talk with you about how to talk about these topics with your clients.
Interesting.
And your prospects. It's super helpful.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in this, the other thing we find out too is, we use horse's mouth for Social Security. Then we do a healthcare workshop with people where we talk about Medicare and long-term care. We have a lot of clients we've engaged with over the years where the initial step for them to start working with us was through long-term care planning. And then we got access to the assets, and then we did some tax planning, and then we did this, and then we did this. Right. And next thing we know, we've got everything, but it was long-term care that brought them in the door. So
good tip. Thanks so much.
We didn't coordinate this at all. I promise.
No, but it's like it's great, and you're a super user at horse's mouth, and we appreciate that because you get out there and do the stuff, and then come back and say, "Hey, it really works," and it does. That's our goal for you too. So, thanks for being on, Matt. Devin, back to you.
Yeah, so that's what it is for December. Matt already did his December activities, so that's great. And then looking forward to January, we're really focused on key financial data there. If you have already purchased or downloaded your key financial data in the last few weeks, the IRS finally released their numbers for 2024. It was actually very late this year compared to previous years. So key financial data has been updated with all of the final numbers from the IRS. We're still holding off on printing right now, just in case anything crazy happens, right? If you've been around long enough, sometimes things pass on the very last day of the year. We don't anticipate that happening this year, but we are holding back for a little bit just to make sure before we go ahead and print. But you can download your updated PDF if maybe, you purchased it back in the beginning of October. You'll probably want to go in there now and download that new PDF. The preliminary is removed. It is essentially final. We're just kind of waiting for that final determination from Congress that nothing is going to change, which should be coming soon. So you can go ahead and download that. We recommend sending that out in January. PDF, get hard copies of it and send it out, especially to your CPAs. They really love having the key financial data handouts that they can refer to on a regular basis. So it's worth getting those printed, especially for your CPAs. I think for your clients too, even though, they're not probably going to use them for anything, it's a nice way to remind them that you're keeping track of all of this for them. And people like to have those numbers, even if they're never going to look at it, just in case. They put it in their desk, they put it up on the fridge, something like that. So that's the main activity there for January. And it would be good to kind of get ahead of that now and start, at least downloading those PDFs, thinking about your plan for sending that out.
Devin, I like that you asked and answered a question that I still think a lot of advisors have around this issue of key financial data. And I just wanted to hammer it home again, because it's like, you look at it and you're like, my clients, okay, there's one or two, but my clients aren't interested in all these tables with all these numbers, with the different brackets and everything. And so I'm not going to send it to them because I don't think they're interested in that. But that's not the point. The point is that you send something like that to your clients, and there's an emotional response on the flip side of it. And that response is, I don't care about these numbers, but I'm glad that Matt does, because Matt's got me covered, okay? Or whomever the advisor is. So you're conveying on an emotional level that, I'm ready. Well, here's key financial data for the year. And, I'm all over this, but just in case you want to, you're interested, here it is. And of course, again, it's just that sort of emotional stroke that I'm sure glad that I have my advisor in my corner who, in fact, does know what all these numbers mean and which ones are important and which ones have changed. So, okay, Devin, back to you.
So those are our key marketing activities for December and January. And like I said, that calendar for 2024 is up there. So you can go ahead and take a look at all the other details for the upcoming months as well. And now we can move into part 3 of our meeting here, which is member questions. We have questions that have come in ahead of time from members, and we'll spend a few minutes answering those here. So the first question we have is, they say, it's all about butts and chairs. I close 90% of the people that sit across my desk and the chairs, but I am no better than most at getting them in here. Always looking for more ways for this to happen.
Yeah. Well, how to get more people in those chairs. I think, yeah, the referrals doesn't always work or can't always work consistently. And so the best thing to do is position yourself as a financial educator, put those educational events into your calendar, your 2024 marketing plan. We tee up one per month. People like Matt, who was just on a few minutes ago, we've done some case studies with him. I know sometimes he does 3 or more per month. He's in a heavy business building mode. Not everybody's in a heavy business building mode, but the point is, if you want to have more one-on-one conversations with people who have a problem that you can solve, the best way to make that happen is to get out there and put on these presentations about challenges that they have. And so, Matt did the long-term care one this morning, and all of a sudden he's got somebody who wants to come in right away. And so when you position yourself as the financial educator, convening presentations, whether it's webinars or in person or in groups with CPAs and other strategic allies, whatever manner in which you do it, when you do that, you're putting this energy out there into your marketplace. You're advertising, marketing around specific pain points that people have relating to financial planning, retirement planning, the need for income, the need for investment, the need to figure out how to send the kids to college, how to pay for it, all those things. You get out there, you put those events on, and the next step, if you do it correctly, is for people to come in for those meetings. And so that is how you're going to get more of the so-called butts in chairs. Right, Devin?
Yep. I see Matt's raising his hand. So
okay,
Matt,
bring Matt on. Come on back.
Sorry, guys. So everybody, just to reinforce what Sean said, in each horse's mouth event, documentation, whatever you want to call it, like Social Security, Medicare, whatever, there is a guide in there that says, here's what you should be doing 60 days in advance, 30 days in advance. Here's the phone calls you should be making. Here's the emails you should be sending. I haven't looked at it in a while because we add text messaging to it as well, right? We use our compliance approved text vendor, so we're not setting ourselves up for a compliance issue later on. And that's what drives the people in the door to the event. You then have to use the same approach after the event to drive them into your office or drive them into your Zoom meeting one-on-one. And in the years, and Sean and Yosha have known me for a long time as well. In the years where I used to go on the road and do these events for other advisors, that's where I would see other advisors fail, is they would do the work up to the event because they were excited about the event. They would do the event, and then they wouldn't follow up after the event as aggressively as they did when they were trying to fill the room. And Horse's Mouth lays it all out for you. You don't have to create the language. You don't have to create the email script or the voicemail script, or, and you can leverage that and turn that into a text message script really easily, right? Follow the process. Because if I'm worried about getting them in the office, because that's where I'm really good and that's where I'm really going to close them, do the follow-up on the back end. And remember, it takes 7 to 10 touches to get someone to take action on something. You'll get 2 or 3 before the workshop, 1 at the workshop, 2 or 3 after the workshop. You've got it. You just got to make sure you have time to do the work.
Matt, we got a question from Mark Rogers. He says, any success or utilization tips for Go High Level as an automated system for advisors? Just signed up, been around CRMs for years, but this looks very promising. I've not heard of Go High Level. We'll check it out, Mark. I know you haven't heard about it either, Matt. Okay. But Mark, send us a link where, or I'd like to follow up with you, see what it is you're finding interesting and attractive about that offer. Okay, thanks, Matt. Devin, our final question: what is the best way to get a prospect to read an email?
It's a great question. I think number one, and we've kind of talked about this earlier, is making sure that that email has value. It's answering a pain point of theirs and making it very clear in the subject line that that's what it does. finding that sweet spot of how many to be sending out, right? Surveying those clients and seeing, you know, how often they want to hear from you, or surveying, you know, your list and seeing how often they want to hear from you. I think making sure that the subject line shows that the email is going to provide value to them is really key, whether that's telling them, you know, video, and then, you know, type in what the video is going to be about, or using our article reprints where you're telling them the topic that it's going to be about. You're asking a question that they're probably asking in their head. Providing that value to them and making it really clear is where I would start with getting those open rates up.
Good. You know, I knew a guy who had a program about a decade ago where he felt like he could get a meeting with anybody. And one of the things he used hand drawings to get these meetings. But anyway, he would tee up like 2 or 3. He would send like a letter to somebody and say, I'm going to be sending you this big package about such and such in another week and a half. And then 3 or 4 days before it, he would send another one saying, this thing is going to come and I want you to make sure you don't miss it. And then he would send this thing that would arrive. And, you know, he's basically, he was stroking people's curiosity. It's like, who is this guy? He's sending me a letter or an email saying he's going to send me something in a couple more days. And then he tells me again 2 days before he's going to send it. And then it finally comes. And it's maybe a sort of a fear of, you know, different version of fear of missing out or whatever. I don't know. But if you're trying to get a prospect to read a very specific email, and you have their text, you know, you might just, you know, reference it, like, you know, I want to make sure you saw that, or send it again with a different subject line and a short 1 sentence at the top, you know, hey, Bill, I just really want to be sure that you had the chance to see this email because, you know, it's something we really should talk about. Keep it short, and then repeat the full email below it. Anyway, Devin, I guess we should close it out, right?
Yep, that's it for this month.
All right, everybody. Well, next time we meet, it will be January. So we send you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all the other events of this season. Relax, pat yourself on the back, take a deep breath, and get ready to have a record year in 2024. So we'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody.